manned space exploration program, one of the Apollo astronauts was asked what he thought about while waiting to be blasted into space. "It's okay, but you remember that each one of the thousands of components you're sitting on is there because it was the lowest bid, and you sure hope that the guys who assembled them did it properly." Today, satellite delivery systems, and satellites, of course, laptop computer screens, and the microchips in the computer, the food you eat, have at least one thing in common with that early spacecraft. They're all hypersensitive to microcontamination that shouldn't be there. If it's not specified as part of the product, whether a material substance or energy, it is undesirable and adversely affects the product. Water in oil, grit in an engine, mud on the kitchen floor, or a fly in your soup until it picks up and holds solid dust particles that become visible when they reflect light, such as sunlight through windows, or in the light beam of a projector. These airborne particles then settle onto surfaces and on or in the product, fractions of micrometers, commonly called microns, and usually shown as the symbol mu, m. You, all of us, are great natural generators of microcontamination. When we talk, cough, or sneeze, we dispel fountains of saliva droplets that land on surfaces, dry into solid particles, and contaminate the product. We're covered with it, and it falls out quite normally from our heads, eyebrows, and eyelashes, from our hands, arms, and everywhere else, and from beards and moustaches, men more than women. But above all, we are the great contaminators because the human body is packaged in skin. Further proof of how you shed your skin, take the covers off your bed and look closely at the mattress, because that white powder in the recesses is ground up skin flakes. And if you examine it under a microscope, you may see that it's heaving with life. Also particles, and even though smaller than many other microcontaminants, they don't float about on their own, but attach themselves to larger inert particles, which somebody once described graphically as riding to work on the trains and buses of our dead skin and hair, where one or both is an insulator, such as when they're rubbed together. While not actually a contaminant, electrostatic charges contribute to contamination because they attract particles, like a magnet, as we can see from the dirt that surrounds many ventilation. Most effective defense against contamination is to prevent it from happening in the first place. Realistically, that's just not possible. So, an ISO 14698 that is concerned with the control of biocontamination. At the heart of every cleanroom is its classification, usually described as its class, which specifies how clean it must be. Clean in this sense is measured by the number of particles of specific sizes that are permitted in each cubic metre of air to gush or spume out of the neck and wrist openings to disperse hundreds of thousands of particles into moving slowly and purposefully to avoid creating turbulence. So never rush. Remember that your mouth contributes a mass of contamination, so always look away from the product when talking. Threshold, which is the point at which people with normal sight can no longer see them, vacuuming is likely to be less than 10% effective. Which means that even after use, over 90% of the contamination is still there, but invisible. Wiping using chemical cleaning agents provide the answer. First, breaking the surface tension that binds the contaminating particles to a surface, which are then suspended in the solution, ready to be removed by the mechanical action.